Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. What a great decade the 70s was, huh? I mean, we had a great movie in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which changed the course of horror movies everywhere. It's because of that we've got, sick, twisted movies like Saw, and even the Friday the 13th movies. And it really made you want to root for the the homicidal maniacs more than the protagonists. And also, it was a time where special effects were really they were just getting better and better and better. And in the 70s, it was just reaching new heights that can never be imagined. It's like the 90s and the late 2000s, like that kind of change of how special effects just, it's just, it just went up into a different level. Not even like 2 or 3 levels, but like late years ahead. And a good example of that is Star Wars. I think that no movie can really hit that feel like Star Wars did. I mean, yeah, you can totally see that in movies like Avatar and Lord of the Rings and some of those movies, even the Disney animated movies. You kind of see that, but not like Star Wars was, and how it just changed the face of how special effects were, thought of. And again, back to the point of this video, and that is Superman. I mean, back then, superheroes were comic book characters who kids enjoyed, and that was it. I mean, adults, yeah, during the war, they were reading those comics. The soldiers were reading those comics, but hey, those were just for the sake of entertainment. I mean, they didn't have like smartphones or portable TVs to check out. I mean, the comics were the equivalent of that. So those were the only adults who got to check those out. And back then it was just, kids checking out comic book, comic books and comic book adapted TV shows and serials. Now here's where the course changed for superhero movies, and that is Superman. Because if it wasn't for Superman, we wouldn't have the Dark Knight trilogy. We would not have the 1989 Batman. We wouldn't have all these great superhero movies that we got to see today if it wasn't for Superman. If Superman bombed, then that would just destroy all other superhero movies. I mean, yeah, we had the Hulk at the time, but not... It was never made for a serious audience. Superman was made for a serious audience. Now, some people say that Batman from the 1989, from the year 1989, was actually the first movie where a superhero was depicted in a big screen or even a small screen, seriously and in a dark manner. Now, Superman has its dark elements. I mean, you get to hear the word ass. You get to hear the word rapist. Yes, you get to hear that. You get to hear hell. You get to hear damn. You get to hear all these types of foul lingo that it just makes you think that, hey, this is not a child... it's not made for child's universe. It's not a universe where kids get to be like, oh, hey, it's so gleeful. No, it's not like 1966 Batman. It's not like that. It's not like that anymore. It's about Superman being alive in our universe. And that's what Superman was in that movie. When it said you can believe a man can fly, it wasn't just that, but you can believe a man in our universe can fly. And you can believe a man in our lifetime can be Superman. You know, he can exist, you know, in our lifetime. That's what the movie was about. And yeah, it has its quirky moments. It has its moments where it's like, oh, that could never happen. But then again, a guy in a cape flying around in his underwear. I mean, come on. You can believe more ridiculous things than that, right? So, you know, I cannot give you a full-length review of this movie because giving it a review would actually injustify it. That's what I really feel. I cannot give it a rating. You know, I cannot say, oh, this deserves an 8.0 or a 9 or a 10 or even it's the best superhero movie ever, but it is a milestone. Because if it wasn't for Superman, the first Superman movie in 1978, then we would not have other superhero movies. It's like saying, you know, the first computer ever made, it deserves an 8.0. No, I cannot say that. Because if it wasn't for that first computer, we would not have Apple computers, we would not have PC, we would not have even video games. It's that, you know, it's in that league. That's what the first Superman movie was. And the storyline is wonderful, you know, and some points you're like, oh, yeah, that is kind of outdated, but at the same time, it is a very well done look back to what the 70s was. And it is a great way to time travel, actually, because I do believe that that Superman movie is a time machine that can take you back to that time, and as well as how people were, and how people acted, and how the characters acted, and you know, Lex Luthor, yeah, he is that that type of character does exist today. We do have these types of characters existing today. And, you know, even though that some of the stuff in that movie is outdated, the characters aren't. Those characters can be existing today among us. You know, there is that evil billionaire that would do whatever it takes to stay a billionaire. There is still that person who really would fight for justice and will always look at the bright side of life, if you will. And there is always that reporter that would do whatever it takes to get the story and is very well devoted to his or her job. So, there you go. That's Superman in a nutshell. It is one of the best superhero movies I've ever watched, and to me, I can watch it in any day, even though that it is about 2.5 hours long. It does fly by really quick, and there are some stuff that you're like, nah, I mean, how does the outfit not? I know that he can resist fire. I know he can resist lava. He can resist all of that. But how does his outfit resist all of that? You know, how come it's never torn apart? How come it never gets dirty? How come Superman never gets dirty? How come never... You know, all these types of stuff. But at the same time, those questions leave your mind when you're in the midst of an action sequence or in the midst of a great storyline. All these things can be pulled aside and you get to look at the big picture, because Superman is the big picture. You know, that movie is the big picture. Whether there are goofs or camera gags or whatever, or you know, any types of bloopers that are left in that movie, it doesn't matter, because in the big picture, it is a very well-made movie, and I give props to Richard Donner, because he really understood who Superman was. I don't think that he was a comic book fan. I don't know who Richard Donner is. I really don't know any other movies that he has done other than Superman and Superman 2. But I do feel that he did his homework before making the movie, and he did know enough of the Superman mythos that he even created some of his own. And some of his own actually continued in comic book literature. So props to Richard Donner, because if it wasn't for him, then I don't think even comic books would be the same as it once was. You know, because around the 80s they really took a turn. Not for the worst. It did turn for a darker and more grittier style, but that doesn't mean it went worse. So there you go. That's my review of the first Superman movie, and I hope you enjoyed it, because I sure as hell enjoyed making this video. So check out the Superman movie if you haven't, and you really need to see this, because to compare it to other superhero movies is unfair, because the special effects have really improved, and it gotten better and stuff. But I still enjoy the Superman movie more of the current superhero movies nowadays. But that's not saying that they are bad. It's just saying that, hey, it's just that good. So there you go. Yeah, so I'll be doing another review soon of Superman 2, and yeah, take care.